A pleasant good evening to you all. I'm Shane Harris. We're down to 3 episodes to go on the Shane Harris Tonight lineup before we kick off the Mayhem tournament. This one in particular is the last of the Canadian entries, which make up the majority of the 24 show field. For this one, this happens to be the oldest Canadian entry I have, and an iconic one that seems to be glossed over because of the amount of competition it had both stateside and over in Europe and Canada as well. For me, I'd best know it for its music, and maybe its amount of action. But for everyone else, just like last week's episode, it's a certified hood classic. That series is Atomic Betty. Flashback to 2004. Flash animation was in its infancy in the world of cartoons, and it's only been utilized ever so sparingly. But for Atomic Betty, this was the first truly legitimate cartoon to utilize Flash and make it work perfectly as the unofficial format for the characters in the series. Now, the project isn't fully Canadian, though. It's owned by the Canadians, it's created by the Canadians, its English voice acting cast is majorly Canadian, but the series was also co-produced in France. Funny enough, it's co-produced by Marathon, which happens to be one of the co-producers of Street Football, which makes it pretty more interesting. And the series did air over on M6 over there, or to us Anglophones as M6 in the first 2 years, and then for the third season, the French viewers had to turn it over to the Studio Canal owned Teletoon, which is not to be confused with the Canadian Teletoon ran by Chorus. Again, not to be confused with our Teletoon from over here. But meanwhile, here in North America, things were a lot smoother. Every episode in the Canadian version of the series, both Quebecois Francais and English, were carried on the Chorus Teletoon, while us Americans had the series be run on Cartoon Network for the first 2 seasons, and then bizarrely the third season got scrubbed way back later and be shown on the Hasbro / Discovery joint venture known as the Hub. And yeah, I don't know why that happened, but who knows? So you may be wondering, what the hell's going on with this series? Now, consider the main character in question, Betty Barrett. Pretty much the second known reason why I've ever heard about Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan outside of the Moose Jaw Warriors from the WHL. She happens to attend a middle school. She's friends with a boy named Noah who actually matures up each and every season. So he starts off a bit more stupid, then he ends a bit more smart. And she happens to not be a character built on looks. Because at this time in the mid-2000s, you had a lot more cartoons with female protagonists who are not made for eye candy. They were made to kick some ass. And this was the first Canadian show to do it, because she happens to become a galactic guardian alongside her 2 comrades, Sparky and the robot known as X5. And trust me, the character design for all 3 characters together has a bit of a Jetsons vibe to it. And you'll witness it once you actually watch the show. Now, the series is sort of like OKKO in terms of episode formatting. Some are storyline driven, and some are episodic, shall we say. And usually I tend to not be happy about those calls because that's kind of uneven. But hey, it doesn't really mind too much because after all, it's the mid-2000s. What do you expect? You'll do anything. Anything. Speaking of doing anything, you would never expect a cartoon to have its main theme song and the rest of its lyrical OST to be written and performed by the star of the show. Yes, Tasia Eason, best known for her work on the Nelvana series Jane and the Dragon, she managed to work on this series, which was done by Breakthrough, the same people who did Jimmy Two Shoes, and she wrote and performed 10 different songs for this very show, including that pretty great theme music that you've encountered on my post section, or should I say, a pretty good theme song that actually works on several different levels. After all, there is a music video that came with one of the DVDs that features her real-life self interacting with her animated counterpart. And I'm all in for that. Because the last time I've seen live-action actors working well with cartoon characters in something like that was Bobby's World, with Howie Mandel interacting with with his own character he created that is unfortunately modeled after one of the writers' sons. I believe it was Mitch Sauer, if I'm not mistaken. Anyway, 10 different songs on the soundtrack for the series. This was amazing. Does she have to face any villains? Of course she does. She has to deal with a freaking cat known as Maximus. And trust me, he is just as stereotypically evil as many stereotypical evil villains back in the 2000s. Diabolical plan this, diabolical plan that, ends up losing. But, of course, I'm not going to criticize because, after all, it's the mid-2000s. It works. Now, as you can see, this poster happens to be from the complete series DVD that was exclusive to Canada. And it's pretty damn rare to find. But luckily, we Americans were spared with 16 episodes from the series being brought over here to DVD. These two DVDs are the American DVDs for the series. Somebody already uploaded the entirety of both DVDs without any issues, which is pretty interesting to say the least. But I said, you know what, I'm going to get these DVDs just to bolster my little DVD collection of some of the shows that Shane Harris Tonight has covered. Because why the hell not? So let's discuss these DVDs then. And they both have a pretty good cover design that already has a good message being sent. The first DVD was Betty Set Go. She's standing on a pile of dead robots with her Atomic Betty reporting for duty pose, which I believe is a recycled render. After all, many Flash cartoons did that. While on the other side, Betty to the Rescue, the second DVD, all three go into action, and then you can see Maximus right there being like, rah, ah, 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 ah. But there is one strange thing about these DVDs. Stupid focus. There we go. The strange thing about these DVDs is the sound format. Both DVDs are in 4:3, just like the original broadcast transmission. And both of these DVDs came from Warner under license to Breakthrough. This DVD, the first one, features a lot of great bonus features. You got that theme song, plus the music video featuring Tasia Eason, plus dubbed languages in English and Francais Quebecois, and also in Latin American Spanish. That's only for the episodes. And if you look right here, right next to the Dolby logo, it reads English, Francais, and Espanol, all in 5.1 Dolby Surround. Which, I gotta say, is pretty damn good, because my Wayside pilot episode DVD is the only one with Dolby 5.1 equipped outside of this one. This, on the other hand, is in stereo, though it does feature a special bonus feature section in which both Maximus and Minimus discuss their arch rival Atomic Betty. Plus, it also features the same language and subtitle options. After all, I haven't tested these episodes out yet on DVD because I've seen all the episodes on YouTube, already uploaded thanks to a channel called Marble Kids. Yes, Marble, Marble. And apparently, they carry this happens to be probably like the only Y7 rated series they have on their YouTube page. So let's talk about the other sides of the things. Well, fan art, there's a lot of it. Some of which are a bit vile because the character is a female, but you'll still find some great fan art within those faults. And how did I get interested in this? Again, just like with many other cartoons I discussed, it stretches back to the pandemic when I was in that Canadian cartoon kick. And this one came up, and I do remember it vividly because, well, it actually had broad appeal. Because girls loved it for Betty. Boys loved it for the violence. It's the same thing that made the Powerpuff Girls and Kim Possible work. So, why the hell not? And I watched this series, a couple episodes of it, and I absolutely enjoyed it. By the way, the character does meet with an older version of herself. But I'm not spoiling that part for you. You're going to have to watch all the way through and find out for yourself. But there was supposed to be a second version of this series. But unfortunately, that series did not get to happen because of a little thing called development hell, which is basically too many obstacles and corporate whatnot and typical fuckery that is beyond the creator's reach. So, unfortunately, this series lays where it is. 3 seasons, 2005 to 2008. And probably no chances of ever watching it in rerun form, other than probably streaming and the internet and those DVDs. Anyway, next week, we got the final 2 episodes. Next week, we're going to deal with a Jetix classic. This time, a French born and bred series. We're talking to Monster Buster Club next Friday night. And 2 weeks from now, we will talk about the very last Shane Harris Tonight episode before we kick off the Mayhem tournament, and that is Dude, That's My Ghost, another French series. And if you want to listen to the Atomic Betty OST that Tasia Eason wrote and performed, that will be in the description. You got to click on my title for the episode, and you'll find a link in the description. You'll also find a link in the description to the Atomic Betty Game Boy Advance gameplay of the series, which also features the aforementioned theme song. Till then, I'm Shane Harris. Good night.